Hello everyone and welcome to PendulumEdu, and here in this session for vocabulary I'm going to discuss with you a set of new words from an article. Now if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, do subscribe it for regular sessions with us and work on your vocabulary and other concepts as well. Now for today, the article heads as Overbroad and Overboard on Kerala's law to curb abusive content. So we are talking about controlling the abusive content, things that are not acceptable, unacceptable content. We are trying to control it. Overbroad and overboard, they are adjectives. Overbroad is something that is not restricted to a particular thing. कहते ना किसी एक चीज से तक ही सीमित नहीं है, तो सीमित ना होना एक चीज तक या एक पॉइंट तक किसी चीज का सीमित ना होना, दैट इज ओवरब्रॉड. यू कैन सी द मीनिंग थ्रू ब्रॉड. दिस मीन्स एक्सटेंसिव और एक्सपेंसिव. ओवरबोर्ड मीन्स असाइड, एक तरफ या अलग. So on one point, the statements, the efforts or steps taken to control the abusive content in the Kerala's law. Number one, it is overbroad, like it is not limited to one particular thing. Number two, it's overboard. It is a bit different. Okay. Kerala disregarded settled law while issuing an ordinance to curb abusive content. So what has Kerala done? It has disregarded one such settled law. Settled law, that means that it has that if I am talking about here, particularly about Kerala, then they have come up with an ordinance to control the abusive content. Now when they have come up with an ordinance, while they were making this step, they have disregarded or overlooked a particular law. They have disrespected a settled law, a particular law that was already existing. Kerala has sought to make amends by keeping in abeyance. Abeyance is noun. Alright, it means to keep away. Okay, or to कहते हैं ना सस्पेंशन, किसी कुछ समय के लिए कोई चीज को टालना. ठीक है, तो जो एक्शन होता है टालने का, दैट इज अबेयंस. अबेयंस, इट्स obnoxious. Obnoxious is an adjective which means something that is unacceptable or filthy. बहुत बुरा. ठीक है, भद्दा, that is obnoxious. भद्दा. Alright, that is obnoxious. So it's obnoxious proposal to abridge free speech by conferring unbridled power. Unbridled is an adjective which means uncontrolled. जिस पर कोई रोक नहीं है, जिस पर कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है. Unbridled powers on the police to arrest anyone expressing or disseminating any matter deemed threatening, abusing, humiliating or defamatory to a person or a class of persons in any manner. Disseminating is a verb. Disseminate. Disseminate means प्रचार करना. It is basically to spread word. Particular thing, if you are trying to spread it over across the entire nation or the area, that is disseminate. So what has Kerala come up? It has come up with a proposal, and that is obnoxious. It is unacceptable because the proposal says that anyone found propagating or disseminating any statement that seems or that appears to be threatening, that appears abusive, humiliating for a particular section of society or any person or individual or class, then the police has uncontrolled powers to arrest or to exercise their powers on them. So some or the other way, this seems like not that logical or sensible. But Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan should take heed of criticism and drop the measure altogether. So the writer suggests that it should be dropped altogether. It should not be considered. It is worrying that such a draconian is an adjective which means harsh and severe. कहते हैं ना कठोर. An ill-conceived ordinance was even promulgated. Promulgate is a verb which means it was even brought into effect. So they are even surprised that such a thing was even promulgated. People are like the writer himself states that at this moment it is worrying that such a harsh and severe step or the bill or the ordinance that has been passed was even thought of. किसी ने उसके बारे में सोचा और उसको आगे बढ़ाया. It is incredible that a state government crafted a law with elements declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, ignoring a major apex court verdict on the law of defamation, which is repugnant to the provisions of IPC. Repugnant is an adjective which means not at all valid or acceptable. Galat. Okay. It is repugnant to the provisions of IPC, a central law, in two ways, besides going against one provision in CRPC. Now you see that the state government has overlooked the verdict of Supreme Court as well, and this definitely is not at all acceptable. As defense that the amendment only targeted defamatory social media posts and would not curb reported political satire. Satire is noun which means humor. We say no, हिंदी में हम कहते हैं हास्य व्यंग. तो ये सब चीजें it's not under this category. The only thing that they are covering is the social media defamation. So some or the other way, this is incomplete. Or expression of opinion is quite hollow. When seen in the light of the absence of any such narrow definition of the offence introduced by Section 118A in the Kerala Police Act, so the writer says it's a very narrow definition. Things are not up to the mark now, because the law or the ordinance coming up is just targeting a particular thing and is ignoring rest of the part. In Shreya Singhal versus Union of India 2015, the top court struck down Section 66A of the IT Act. The section had criminalized the sending of any message through a computer source that was grossly offensive, menacing, or caused annoyance, inconvenience, danger, insult, injury, and intimidation. Intimidation is noun which means dhamki, or to provoke someone. Okay, if it causes provocation, if it is causing intimidation, if you're intimidating someone, if you are उनको उकसा रहे हो, आप उनको धमकी देकर उनको धमकी देने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, if all of this is there in your any message that you send through computer source, also that was also covered in this Shreya Singhal versus Union of India 2015 case. Moving ahead, it has been stated the new offence is also vaguely defined. Vaguely, that is unclearly. It's an adverb. स्पष्ट रूप से, okay, and is made cognizable. Cognizable is again an adjective which means identifiable or clear. It's made cognizable, whereas criminal defamation under the IPC is non-cognizable. So the new offense that has come up, firstly, it was not clearly explained. It was later made cognizable or identifiable, whereas the criminal context to it, whether it will be criminalized or not, it is still non-cognizable. It is not that clearly identifiable. Moreover, while upholding the validity of criminal defamation, the court made it clear that no police officer can register an FIR for the offence. So you see, to uphold or to support the validity of criminal defamation, court has also stated that no police officer can register an FIR for the offence. There can be no FIR. It can only be prosecuted as a private complaint. For section 119 CRPC says no court shall take cognizance of defamation unless the aggrieved party files a complaint. So until unless there is a complaint, no action can be taken. Further, section 118A lays down a 3-year prison term. It is 2 years under the IPC. By making defamatory utterances, defamatory, that is disregarding or disrespectful, cognizable, and raising the prison term, the Kerala Ordinance effectively amends the IPC and CRPC, a move for which the centre's assent is mandatory. Assent is noun, which means approval, मान्यता या अनुमति. So they say कि अगर केरला अपने ऑर्डिनेंस के थ्रू कुछ चेंजेस या कुछ मॉडिफिकेशन लेकर आ रही है, तो it is definitely it is important to seek in. The reason being, they are trying to, if they come up with the ordinance, they are amending IPC, they are also amending CRPC, and for this they cannot do it on their own. They need centre's assent or centre's approval for the same. Without it, it is not feasible, it's not possible. The ordinance itself required prior presidential assent. It is regrettable that the state sought to arm itself with extraordinary powers to deal with a problem that can be dealt with through other provisions relating to stalking, harassment, criminal intimidation, and verbal abuse. Now, what has been stated that why are we coming up with a new law or ordinance when such a thing can definitely be treated or included in such provisions, in such cases? Harassment and criminal intimidation, other things, we can include the social media abuse also in this. So when Kerala has come up with an ordinance with a motive to curb the abusive content or offensive content that is coming up, but primarily the focus is on social media and the other things are overlooked, there is a question definitely, why do we need a separate ordinance for it? And if you need a separate ordinance for it, then you, like, Kerala can not just by itself decide over it, okay? It definitely needs presidential assent, it needs centre's assent and approval for the same. Only then things could be done appropriately. So this was the entire article pertaining to Kerala's attempt at this, alright, and these were the words to discuss. Any word that you guys find difficulty in understanding, you can revise it. The list is there on our site. You can go to the link given in the description to have the list of the words there in front of you for you to practice. Alright, I am going to see you soon in the next session. You can practice these words with their example sentences right there. Okay, do not forget to like and share the video with your friends. I shall see you soon in the next session. Keep learning and growing, learners. Thank you so much.